Time has named Donald Trump Person of the Year and conducted an interview with him as a result of that. And so during the conversation, Trump said something about policies that impact transgender Americans that might actually shock you. But before we get to it, let's just remember the ad that his camp blasted toward the end of the 2024 presidential campaign, which played a role in helping him win. Let's take a look.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
It's hard to believe, but it's true. Even the liberal media was shocked Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners and illegal aliens.
Every transgender inmate would have access.
Kamala's for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
So, with that in mind, an interesting exchange happens with the Times staff and Donald Trump in the context of this interview. And so they ask him, hey, this trans bathroom issue has now come back up, obviously because of Congresswoman Nancy Mace making it a big deal because there is an incoming transgender lawmaker. And so here's what he had to say about that specific issue. Quote, I don't want to get into the bathroom issue because it's a very small number of people we're talking about and it's ripped apart our country. So they'll have to settle whatever the law finally agrees. I'm a big believer in the Supreme Court and I'm going to go by their rulings. And so far, I think their rulings have been rulings that people are going along with. But we're talking about a very small number of people and we're talking about it and it gets massive coverage and it's not a lot of people. So that's his way of essentially saying, this isn't a big issue, let's just follow whatever the laws are. But he's obviously not demagoguing here and isn't fear-mongering about transgender people using the restrooms that they identify with, which, considering it's Trump, I'm grateful that that's how he's handling it.
Yeah, no, that's actually a slight note of optimism there. So, they run that ad. It's unfortunately spectacularly successful, according to both the Trump campaign and the Kamala Harris campaign, one of the most effective ads of our lifetime, unfortunately. They say it moved people who saw it by up to 3 points, which is gigantic. So you could take a lesson from that if you're on the bad side of the Republican Party. Oh, we keep attacking these folks, that's to our political advantage. So for Trump to come out and go, oh, that was just for the election, it doesn't affect that many people, let's move forward. I'll take it if he means it, right? So I would very much take it. So I'm not ready to say, oh, okay, he does mean it and they won't do anything bad. They did try to change the bathrooms in the Capitol already, right?
Right.
But the fact that, you could even call Trump hypocritical here for making such a big deal out of it in an election and then turning around and going, it's actually not a big deal. It doesn't affect that many people. But as long as he's coming in a better direction, I'm happy to hear it.
And there were some follow-up questions, and so Time asked, but on that note, there's a big fight in Congress now. The incoming trans member from Delaware, Sarah McBride, says we should all be focused on more important issues. Do you agree? And Trump responds with, I do agree with that. On that, absolutely. As I was saying, it's a small number of people. And then Time asks, it was a big issue though on the campaign. One of the ads that your campaign put the most money behind was the Trump is for us and Harris is for they, them. Trump responds, well, it's true, Trump is for us. And Time says, right, it obviously strikes a chord. And so I think that part of the exchange really does touch on why that ad was as successful as it was. I think it had way less to do with the transphobic element of it, and more to do with the fact that right now most Americans feel abandoned, neglected by our political system, by their elected lawmakers, by our politicians. And so that frustration is exactly what that ad tapped into. And Trump positioned himself as an individual who's gonna look out for everybody. I'm gonna look out for you, I'm for us, for this country. Whereas Kamala Harris is using our finite resources on something something tiny in his mind, something not worthwhile.
Yeah, so two interesting things out of this. On the ad, trans people just happen to be a perfectly convenient target for the others, right? In the past, it's been Muslim folks, gay folks, like black folks, obviously, for hundreds of years. And so what conservatives are good at politically, and I don't agree with it, I'm saying as a matter of strategy, is circling the wagons and going, everyone on our side, we're the us, come vote for us, right? And they're the others, they're the them, right? In this case, it's very easy to do because, oh, look, they look a little different. Oh, they act a little different. Oh my God, get freaked out, right? But the core message is, we're you guys and the Democrats are the other guys, right? And so you want to, and they never protect us. They never give us anything. That's why it wasn't just about the trans issue. It was that they were getting free surgery, right? So like, why am I getting nothing? And these guys are getting free surgery when they crossed the border a minute ago, right? And same thing with the immigrants that were sent to Chicago, New York, et cetera. And in the city council meetings, they kept saying, why are they getting all this free stuff that I'm seeing with my own eyes?
That's exactly right.
And we get nothing, right? And so that's the frustration that Trump tapped into to win. But as he did with Hillary Clinton, lock her up in 2016, as soon as he won, he's like, demagoguing, right?
Well,
and I'm past it. And in the case of Hillary Clinton, he was past it. Let's hope that's true in this case as well.
One final statement about this issue from Trump that was surprising. He continued to say, Trump is definitely for us, okay? And us is the vast, vast majority of people in this country. And also, get a load of this, I want to have all people treated fairly. Forget about majority or not majority. I want people to be treated well and fairly. Who is this man? Yeah. And what has he done with Donald Trump? That was a shocking statement from Trump, but I like it. I like it. More of this, please. And don't just say it, show it.
100%. So look, guys, Trump has bad instincts. He has some decent instincts, like that statement right there. And he could go towards the decent instincts if he thought it would make him more popular. So what's interesting is that there is a change of tone, even from 2016, and certainly from 2020 when he was just super angry that he lost, right? And the more angry he gets about losses, the worse he gets, and let's get rid of democracy and the Constitution, et cetera, right? But now there's something, he's always listening to his base. And sometimes that leads him in a bad direction because there are tons of his base who do hate trans folks. And if you're in that base, you say, oh no, there's no one that's MAGA that hates trans people. Come on,
I think they're
come on, brothers and sisters.
I think those folks are pretty open about it.
Yeah, they're pretty obvious and glaring about it. But are there some folks who don't hate trans people or who are in the middle and blah, blah, blah? Of course, that's also true. But what's interesting is that he's listening to his base and what he's getting out of it is, let's move on.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit surprised by that. Because there are that range definitely exists in that base.
Well, his base is bigger. His base is bigger this time around and more diverse this time around.
Before it was a lot of Christian nationalists, a lot of evangelical Christians, et cetera. Now the bros are a larger part of it, and the bros might have tons of issues with trans people as well. Don't get me wrong, right?
Black voters, Latino voters. He even increased the number of women voting for him.
Right, people voting based on the economic interest rather than culture war issues. But within that mess of a base and I would much rather have that mess, which is because it's more diverse than like the hardcore right wingers that we used to fight with nonstop, right? Within that diverse base, there's a decent number of people going, yeah, guy, we mainly elected you for lower prices and close the border. So don't waste my time with the 7 trans people. Let's move on, right? And if that's what he's hearing, that's another piece of really good news. But guys, always proof is in the pudding. These are just words. Let's see how he acts first.
They are just words. And so with that note of caution, I just want to remind everyone of something that he said in 2016 that has since been memory hold, because if you guys can remember, in 2016, the trans bathroom issue was a massive issue. The Republican Party really latched onto it for their campaigning, but they realized this messaging isn't working, people actually don't like it. And one of those people who realized it wasn't working was Donald Trump. The one thing I've always given him credit for is he tends to have his finger on the pulse in regard to where the country is at when it comes to some of these these culture war issues. And so again, this video is from 2016. He's on the Today Show. Take a look.
Leave it the way it is right now. There have been very few problems. Leave it the way it is. North Carolina, what they're going through with all of the business that's leaving and all of the strife, and that's on both sides. You leave it the way it is. There have been very few complaints the way it is. People go, they use the bathroom that they feel is appropriate. There has been so little trouble, and the problem with what happened in North Carolina is the strife and the economic punishment that they're taking. So I would say that's probably the best.
Do you have any transgender people working in your organization?
I don't know.
No?
I really don't know. I probably do. I really don't know.
So if Caitlyn Jenner were to walk into Trump Tower and want to use the bathroom, you would be fine with her using any bathroom she chooses?
That is correct.
He said that in 2016.
Yeah, but then some portions of his base took it in an uglier direction, and then so did he. But it appears he's coming back to that point of view right there, and again maybe partly pushed by his base. Look, guys, I talked to trans women, and so some folks care deeply on principle about the high school sports, the professional sports, and we have varying opinions on some of those things and the words that are used. And undocumented immigrants who are detainees who are asking for surgery, I don't know if there's a single person in that category, right? But the bathroom issue is a major issue because you're a woman, you look like a woman, and now you got to go into the guy's bathroom. No, that's terrible, terrible, right? So if Trump is drawing the line and saying, no, bathrooms are, just leave it alone, let them go to whatever bathroom they want, that would be terrific news. This is just the beginning. But the fact that he's at least saying it is some indication that he thinks that's the more popular position.
Yes, exactly.
So that's good news.
That's the number one thing about Trump. He wants to be liked and he wants to have the popular position. And so if the popular position is to just let trans people live, let them use the bathroom that they identify with, he's gonna go along with that. And by the way, he responds well to positive reinforcement. So when he does something right, positive reinforcement is a good thing.
And guys, just look, if there's some right-wingers or independents who are unsure about the bathroom issue, look, I mentioned the example of the woman, right? But what if it's a trans man and they present as a man, they really look like a man, and then you're forcing them to go into the women's bathroom.
Right.
You think that's not gonna freak people out? Not only the trans person, but the non-trans people. It's a disastrous idea and there's no need for it, absolutely no need for it. You're punishing people for who they are and it's ugly. Don't do that, right? If you say, hey, I can't give away free surgeries, okay, I get it. It's a different conversation. But if you make them go into the wrong bathrooms, it's not what America should be. Hey, thanks for watching that video. We really appreciate it, guys. And we appreciate it if you become members because that allows us to be independent, honest, progressive, all the things that you don't get from corporate media. And all of that is because of you guys. Hit the join button below and become one of us, become a young Turk.